What's going on, everybody? It's Jack. Welcome back to this week's video. Today I have two high-protein, low-calorie meal prep recipes for you guys. We're gonna start off with some buttered chicken. There are two steps to this. First, we're gonna make the chicken, then we're gonna make the sauce. So we're gonna start with just the chicken. I'm gonna go over all the ingredients, the steps to make the chicken itself. Then we'll go over the sauce and how you can actually make full meals out of it, whether you wanna add rice, naan, make burritos out of it, all that kind of stuff. So we're gonna start with the chicken itself. So we have right here, we have, I think this is, let's see, it's 1.51 pounds, which I think comes out to be like 685 grams. I'm gonna round up and say 700 grams of chicken breast right here. That is just your boneless, skinless chicken breast, super easy. We're gonna need 150 grams of a non-fat plain Greek yogurt. This is just the Kroger brand right there. Boom, you can see it right there. Super simple. This is my go-to for the non-flavored ones. If I was gonna get anything flavored, Yoplait or Dan and Light Fit, whatever it is my favorite. But for plain, we're going with Kroger. Then we need 1 tablespoon of paprika, 1 tablespoon of, I always pronounce this wrong, but Garam Masala, something like that. So we need 1 tablespoon of that. We need 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of pepper, and that's gonna be, I think 1 tablespoon comes out to be 8 grams for each of those, and then 1 teaspoon is gonna be about like 5 grams for each of these. We're also gonna need 2 teaspoons of minced garlic. You can also mince up 3 cloves. It's probably about the same amount, which comes out to be about 6 grams there. And then we'll hold the cashews, the onions, and then tomatoes for the sauce. But first thing we're gonna do, pretty much we're gonna go ahead, cut the chicken into cubes. So we're gonna go ahead and butterfly this, make it pretty thin. I would say about 1-inch cubes. Then we'll go ahead and put it on a plate, get our Greek yogurt in there, all our seasonings, mix that up real well, and that's kind of like our chicken marinade. So first thing we need to do is go ahead and cut up all of our chicken. Also, I am gonna go ahead and smash the chicken just a little bit to make it kind of the similar size throughout, because normally the big part, the fat part of the chicken breast is a little bit thicker. We make them all similar, so I'm gonna beat my meat a little bit. That we have all of our chicken now cubed up. Now we're gonna go ahead and add the Greek yogurt and all of our seasonings, but I need to wash my hands first. Also, I did have one question on my last video about how to use the scale. So what I'm doing is, what you're gonna go ahead and do, make sure it's zeroed out. Actually, it might not work. All right, so for anyone that hasn't used the scale before, in the sense that we wanna kind of take an amount out rather than add it in, what we're gonna do, go ahead and place our item on the scale. In this case, it's Greek yogurt. We'll go ahead and press that 0 button. It might say TAR, T-A-R-E on your scale, but you go ahead and zero it out. So now whatever you take out is the number of grams. So we want 150 grams of Greek yogurt. So go ahead and take a big scoop, put it on our chicken. We got 60, 100, 36. Boom, and so we went over, so we're gonna add a little bit back, a little bit more, a little bit more. Boom. So 150. So now I know between what's on the chicken, what's in the spoon, was 150 grams of Greek yogurt. So that's how I like to measure that out. So hopefully that made sense. And then basically what I now have is the entire tray on it. So I'll zero it out as I add the paprika, the garam masala, the salt, and the minced garlic. Now I can just go ahead and add it onto the plate and it will track for me. So that's really helpful. Now we have all our seasonings and our Greek yogurt in there. So what we're gonna go do is pretty much just mix it around. I will go ahead and use my hands, just at this point it's gonna get messy anyways, but I will get the last little bit of that Greek yogurt off that spoon, as well as the seasoning, boom. We're just gonna go ahead and mix this up and let it kind of sit. You don't necessarily need to let it sit and like soak in like a normal marinade that you'll leave in the fridge for like a couple hours or overnight. This is more so to get a nice even coating across the entire chicken of your seasoning and your Greek yogurt. Just like that. You basically want to keep mixing until it's all one color. You don't want any clumps of like Greek yogurt or seasoning. You want to mix it until it looks like it's well combined with the chicken. Then we'll go ahead and head over to our pan and start to cook this chicken. Now we have a pan over high heat. Now the big thing here, we want a big enough pan where we don't have any chicken laying on top of each other. Otherwise the chicken won't cook all the way through or have some uneven cooking. So we want to have a big enough pan for all of our chicken. Hit it with some non-stick. Boom. Also, the non-stick isn't super essential if you have a really nice pan that's a little bit older, so a little bit of non-stick never hurts. Then we'll go ahead and get all of our chicken in there. Boom. We'll go ahead, spread that chicken out, and it'll cook for about 7 to 8 minutes. Make sure it cooks all the way through. You're flipping it, turning it, all that good stuff. But yeah, 3 to 4 minutes aside, 7 to 8 minutes in total. All right, so it's been about 7.5 minutes. The kitchen is starting to smell really good. What I like to do, just to make sure everything's cooked all the way through, is find like a bigger, thicker piece of chicken. Go ahead and cut that in half or break it in half, and just make sure it's cooked all the way through. So, all right, here's a pretty good one. Just split that in half. All right, no pink, looks all the white all the way through, so we know pretty much confirmed that the rest of the chicken's done if we have the biggest piece also cooked. So what we'll go ahead and do now, take that off the heat. And also, for some weird reason, this pan, the handle likes to get really hot, so now I have to use a little covering, whatever it's called. So we'll go ahead and take our chicken, take that off the heat, and then in this pan, we'll go ahead and add our sauce ingredients. I'll go over those over on the counter though. And real quick, I'll go ahead and read over the ingredients that will go in the pan for our sauce. So first thing, we're gonna need 30 grams of light butter. This is, I can't believe it's not butter, light butter. Any light butter will work. Then we also need half of an onion chopped up. We have that back here on this plate. I did that while the chicken was cooking. You could use a whole onion if you want. I personally am just not a huge fan of onions, so I'm gonna keep it a little bit lighter. We also need 20 grams of cashews, just basic, these are roasted cashews, or these are whole cashews with some light salt, because I do like to eat those as well. We're gonna need basically 1 can. This comes out to be, you guys can see that right here, hopefully. It's gonna be, oh, that's shiny. 14.5 ounces and 411 grams. So around 411 grams, or I'd say like round up to maybe 420, 420 please, of diced tomatoes. We'll also go ahead and need basically the exact seasoning mix before. That is what is in this bowl right here. So once again, we have 1 tablespoon of our Garam Masala, we have 1 tablespoon of our paprika, and then 1 teaspoon of salt and 1 teaspoon of pepper. Then we're also gonna need a little bit more Greek yogurt. We use 50 grams more Greek yogurt. We're also gonna use the same amount of minced garlic, which is gonna be 2 tablespoons right there. And the last thing is gonna be a little bit of skim milk, only 30 to 40 grams. Really just helps when we put it in the blender. It'll help everything blend up together, which is also you need a blender cup. But first thing, we'll go ahead and put all this in, and the milk we'll just add into the blender itself just to help it pulse and blend real well. But first thing we need to do, go over to the stove. We're gonna add our butter and onions first, cook those for a little bit, and add the rest of the ingredients. We wanna cook our onions for about 5 minutes until they're nice translucent and kind of golden brown. Now our onions are nice and cooked up. We'll go ahead and add our diced tomatoes in there. Now we got all of our sauce ingredients in there. We'll go ahead and mix it up quite a bit. We just want to simmer for like a little bit, maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes tops. Go ahead and mix really well all those ingredients together. Then what we're gonna go ahead and do is actually add them to a blender cup that we have, boom, over here. Very carefully add it in there. And then also with a little bit of milk, just so it blends smooth. But we're gonna go ahead, once again, get this in here for about 2 minutes, let it cool off, and then add it to our blender cup. Now that our sauce is kind of cooled off a little bit, we'll go ahead. Honestly, I'm just gonna scoop it in. You could try to dump it, but I find it easier since mine is a little bit thicker. You can kind of just scoop it into the bottle. So go ahead and scoop all of your ingredients into your blender cup, and we're gonna blend this until nice and smooth. And as I mentioned, we're gonna add a little bit of skim milk. I'm really just gonna do a little splash, but I'll measure it out just to let you guys know. I kind of eyeball it when I have made this in the past. I just kind of eyeball it like a small splash to help it blend a little bit better. But we'll go ahead and measure it out for you guys to see exactly how many grams it is. All right, it came out to be 29 grams. My guesstimation was 30 to 40, so perfect, 29 grams right there. We'll go ahead and blend this bad boy, and then we'll go ahead and assemble our chicken. Yeah, but as you guys just saw, a little bit of a fail when we opened our blender bottle, or blender cup, whatever you call it. We got sprayed by our sauce, which is fantastic. But hey, the show goes on, right? So we're gonna go ahead, re-warm up the pan a little bit, go to about a medium heat right there. At this point, we're just kind of re-warm everything up so it kind of can mesh together. So we have all of our chicken in there, boom. We're also gonna add our sauce. At this point, all we're gonna do is kind of reheat our sauce, let it kind of mix all well together, and then go ahead and either eat it now, portion out for later, but I'll go ahead, heat it up, get it all together, and I'll go ahead and read off the macros for you guys. All right, and here we have our final product, our butter chicken right here. I'm gonna go ahead and break up this into 5 servings, but I'll go ahead and tell you guys the macros for the entire thing. So if you wanna break up into 4 servings, 6 servings, just take the total macros and calories and divide it by however many servings you wanna break it up into. But the total calories for this entire meal, the total macros, comes out to be 1,260 calories, 46.3 grams of carbs, 26.3 grams of fat, and then 245.5 grams of protein. And that is pretty much primarily coming from the 700 grams of chicken breast we used, and that 700 grams is measured raw, not cooked. I personally measure everything raw. I think it's easier because cooking actually can change the weight, because if you overcook something, it's gonna weigh less than if you undercook it, that kind of thing. So I measure everything raw, but that's just personally how I do it. But if I wanted to break this up into 5 servings, just the chicken and butter chicken, it would be 252 calories per serving, 9 grams of carbs, 5 grams of fat, and then 49 grams of protein. And then to make it a full meal, like I said, there are a couple ways to do this. You can either turn it into, like, basically what I'm gonna do, add some rice to it. You could also turn it into a burrito. If you do rice and the chicken in a burrito, you could just eat this with some naan bread. But if you wanna add a minute rice, that's 230 calories. This meal with the 1/5 serving of chicken as well as the 1 cup of rice, it comes out to be 482 calories, 53 grams of carbs, 9 grams of fat, and 54 grams of protein. So it comes out to be right around 500 calories for a meal, which I think is very kind of standard for a lot of people, about 500 calories. But yeah, without further ado, I need to go clean up because I swear this shirt might be stained at this point. So I'm gonna spray it with some Shout and go ahead and get that down the chute. Otherwise, yeah, stay tuned for the next recipe. See you guys then. Alrighty, it is now time for meal number 2. Meal prep number 2 is gonna be a base that we can then add protein onto to make a full meal. So we're gonna go with an homemade Alfredo sauce with some fettuccine to make fettuccine Alfredo that you can then top with chicken breast, chicken thighs, shrimp, whatever it is to make it a full meal with some protein in there. But it's pretty basic. We need 3 main ingredients for the Alfredo sauce. We need cottage cheese, skim milk, and grated Parmesan. Let me go ahead and read off the amounts real quick. I have those written down. So we're gonna use 1.5 cups of skim milk, which comes out to be 360 milliliters. We're gonna use 3/4 cups of cottage cheese, which comes out to be 351, but if you want to round down, 350 grams. Then we're also gonna use 1 cup or 90 grams of Parmesan cheese. Then we'll go ahead and add some of our seasonings. We're gonna do 1 teaspoon of salt and then 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, onion powder, and garlic powder. First thing we need to do is go ahead and actually cook our pasta, and then we'll go ahead and put all of the rest of the ingredients together for the sauce. And as far as the pasta, you don't have to use fettuccine if you don't want to. You can really use any kind you want, but go ahead, just follow the instructions on the pasta, cook that up, and it should be super simple. And when your pasta has about a minute or 2 left cooking, you can go ahead and start with your sauce. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna put all the ingredients into this blender right here. We're gonna blend it up, take it over to a fresh pan, pour it in, let it kind of simmer for a little bit, add the pasta, mix it all up, and then we got our fettuccine Alfredo. So first thing we're gonna do, we got our handy dandy scale over here. We're gonna crack open this cottage cheese. We measure out all our ingredients and get them into the blender cup. Now, as you guys saw, this is pretty much right at that max fill line. So if you have a big enough cup, go ahead and fit it all in here. If not, just throw in a bigger blender or food processor. But this cup really fits it perfectly, and that's pretty much all you can fit. Boom, just a quick blend, and we'll head over to the stove top and pour it in our pan. Alrighty, now we have our pasta right there that we need to strain. We also have our pan right here, which we're gonna put our Alfredo sauce in. This might pop a little bit, so be very careful. There we go, nice and easy. And this is over just like basically like a medium low, like maybe like a 3 out of 10 heat, nothing too crazy. We're not trying to burn it, we're just trying to melt it all together and let it kind of converge. So we're gonna pour that in there. We'll probably let it simmer for, I don't know, maybe like a minute or 2. Then we'll go ahead and strain our pasta and then add it into this pan. Go ahead, save a little bit of pasta water just in case this sauce is too thick and you want to add a little pasta water to thin it out a little bit. But yeah, without further ado, we'll go ahead, let this cook for a little bit, strain our pasta and then add it in there. All right, now here we have our strained pasta. There is a little bit of pasta water in there, so we'll go ahead and add that in. Now we can kind of go ahead and fold that up until it's well combined, well mixed, and the sauce thickens up a little bit. Now once everything's kind of mixed together, what we're gonna do, we're just kind of let it simmer for, I would say, probably 10 to 12 minutes. Let some of the liquid evaporate from the milk, let it thicken up a little bit, and then we can just go ahead and pretty much plate it. We can serve it, we can turn it into meal prep, we can add our protein on top, all that good stuff. But for now, it's a waiting game, 10 to 12 minutes, let it thicken up, let it kind of get nice and saucy, then we'll go ahead and be ready to serve. And don't simmer too high. Once again, I'm at just below a medium low, so probably about a 3 or 4 out of 10. So go ahead and make sure it's not too high of a heat. Alrighty, and once pretty much the milk is gone, it's all kind of nice and sticky like a sauce should be. You can see right here, it's pretty much sticking to all the pasta. You probably can't see it that well, but oh god, this thing's heavy. Oh my gosh. I swear I work out, but this thing is just heavy as crap. So there you go, you can kind of see. All right, before I drop this, I'm putting it back down. That thing's heavy as, wow, that thing's really heavy. But it also has like, 8 servings of pasta in there, so it should be. But now what we're gonna do, go ahead, turn the heat off now the sauce is thick enough, and we can go ahead and serve this. So I'll go ahead and break it up and read it the macros for you guys, but I'm gonna go ahead, make myself a plate, read off the overall macros, how you can split it up, what you can top it with. I actually might make some chicken thighs real quick to make myself a full meal, but we'll go all the macros and stuff in just one sec. All right, and here we have our final meal. Hope you guys can see that right there. We did throw a little bit of chicken thighs on there, but this, it smells absolutely delicious, extremely cheesy, it looks really cheesy. Maisie even got a little bit by accident and she approves. But real quick, we'll go over the macros for the entire fettuccine as a whole and the calories for the entire recipe. So all the pasta, the Alfredo sauce, all that good stuff. Obviously not the chicken thighs. It comes out to be 2,380 calories, 375 grams of carbs, 42 grams of fat, and 143 grams of protein. And then if you were to break it up into 6 servings the way I am, it would come out to be 397 calories a serving, 63 grams of carbs, 7 grams of fat, and 24 grams of protein. But feel free to add whatever toppings you want protein-wise. You shrimp, chicken breast, chicken thighs. In this case, I'm going with 6 ounces of chicken thighs, which makes this meal 1/6 of the recipe plus the chicken thighs, 635 calories, 62 grams of carbs, 21 grams of fat, and 55 grams of protein. Also, feel free to go ahead and change up some things. So obviously, as I mentioned, it comes out to be 6 servings at right around 400 calories. But if you want to bring the amount of pasta down, you could also cut the recipe in half and then just use 4 servings of the half, which is basically turns it into 1/8 if you make it for yourself. I do have some family that's going to eat this, so I can go ahead and split up into 6 servings or 8 servings. It'll stay good. I definitely don't recommend doing 8 servings and trying to keep it fresh for 8 days in the fridge. But you can go ahead and, once again, cut the recipe in half, turn it into 1/8 if you want, and just serve it to more people, or maybe eat it twice a day. I definitely don't see a problem with eating this twice a day. It's absolutely delicious. I'm gonna go ahead and do a quick taste test for you guys real quick. Also, are you guys pasta twirlers or cutters? I don't know why. As a kid, I always thought it was really cool to twirl the pasta, so I still do it to this day. But we got our pasta right there, a little chicken. I swear you don't taste the cottage cheese, or it doesn't taste like cottage cheese at all. Once you blend it, warm it up, and mix it with the Parmesan, the skim milk, the pasta, I mean, it just tastes like a good cheesy Alfredo sauce. Oh, also one thing we haven't done in this video yet is a Maisie catch, so we'll have to do that real quick. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna let you guys know I'm gonna throw it. I'm gonna go ahead and let the camera focus on her and step out of the way, but this is one of our longer catches. Yes! That's a good girl. All right, we'll go ahead. Oh, she's gonna knock the tripod. Make sure to leave other recipe recommendations down below. Without further ado, I'll go ahead and end the video right there. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.